The December 2nd, 2025 edition of the Clawson City Council meeting. We're going to call the meeting to order, and we're going to start by standing to, the council will stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone who wants to join us as well.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and then we are going to welcome Reverend Scott Manning from the Clawson United Methodist Church to give us words of inspiration.
It's an honor to be here with you to share a prayer of invocation, a tradition in this country that dates back as far back as 1774 without break. I sound worse on computer than I hear in my head. I want to share with you a scripture from the Hebrew Bible, or some of you will say the Old Testament, that I think guides a direction for us in governance and in community service, whether we're religious or secular. And that's Micah 6:8, which is scripture that has been a key for me all through my life and with my ordination and the process. And Micah 6:8, what does the Lord ask of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with God. And what are we called to do in community? But to seek justice as well as to enforce it, to be kind, to be gentle, to be compassionate, to be caring, and to walk humbly in our roles in community and in service. And I offer this prayer to you. I use the term Father. Some of you will say higher power. Some of you will say whatever is meaningful to you, but I use our Father. Heavenly Father, I ask for the presence of your love and your guidance in this place. Guide us in principles of justice and of compassion, of care and of love. May the work of this council be pleasing to you. May it be open to the care and the will and the voices of the people. You've called these folks to lead, and we ask you to bless them and to guide them in their service as elected, as appointed, and as hired leaders of our community. Let your love be in this place. Amen.
Thank you. Next, we have roll call, please.
Mayor Moffett? Present. Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Here.
Councilmember Feltman?
Here.
Councilmember Rinkovich?
Here.
Councilmember Slowinski?
Present.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Here.
And that's everybody. All right, next we have approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Councilmember Feltman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Slowinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Moffett?
Yes. All right, our next item is public comment for items on the agenda. We welcome anyone who wishes to speak about an item on the agenda to come to the podium. We ask that you keep your comments to 4 minutes. We ask that you state your name and just indicate if you're a resident of Clawson or if you're a visitor to this fair city. And although this exercise is not an opportunity for any kind of back and forth question and answer. If you have any questions about items on the agenda, I will note them and make sure that they get addressed during discussion of that agenda item. So with that, is there anyone who wishes to speak about an item on the agenda? Please come forward.
Hi, Jamie Gills, Tuckannoche, McClellan resident. I want to talk about agenda item 9F. So good evening, Mayor, members of council. I want to start by commending this body for using the formal application and interview process. It is the most transparent method outlined in our ordinance, and we truly appreciate that commitment to openness. However, even with this transparent process, our ordinance provides a mandatory instruction that must guide your decision tonight. Section 239.3 is not optional. It requires you to actively consider the last election results. That section requires this council shall take into account the recent election results to ensure that that appointee aligns with the most recent expressed preferences of Clausen voters. That's the heart of the matter tonight. And let's be honest about those preferences. The election was a collective statement from our residents. They voted for change. They defeated the mayor and every single council member who sought re-election to their seat. That is an undeniable mandate for new leadership. The voters weighed Mr. Shepherd's performance and decided they wanted a new representative. He ran, he was defeated. His candidacy fundamentally does not align with the voters' mandate for change. Utilizing this express preferences test now requires you to exclude defeated incumbents who clearly conflict with the voters' will. Now, let's look at why Mr. Shepherd's actions make him unfit for consideration. We all saw the lame duck vote on the city manager's contract. He and others argued this was for stability. But stability should not come at the expense of our finances and our right to accountability. That addendum secured a 2-year contract extension and dramatically increased the payout costs. Specifically, it matched a termination with cause with a termination without cause. This means the city manager could embezzle, commit a felony, be grossly negligent in his job, and he would still get a payout of over $250,000 or about $250,000. This is if he's fired for cause. It also guarantees his retirement vesting at taxpayer expense. That vote for Mr. Shepherd was fiscally irresponsible. It ensures that this new council will face an excessive financial penalty if you ever need to hold the city manager accountable. It ties your hands. We saw many residents speak out against this decision, yet Mr. Shepherd cast his final vote in favor of it. The timing is unacceptable. He cast his vote, and the very next day, the person who directly benefited, the city manager, endorsed Mr. Shepherd for this vacant seat. This creates an undeniable appearance of a political trade that benefits an insider and hurts our city. Council, your task tonight is to narrow the list and select candidates who embody the reform Clausen demanded. The ordinance requires you to align with the voters. We have demonstrated that Mr. Shepherd's candidacy directly conflicts with both the mandate for change and the public's demand for ethical accountability. I strongly urge this new council to use your authority now. Do not advance this application. Select candidates who represent the fresh start and new direction the voters demanded. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Jean Grant Anatovich. I'm a lifelong resident of Clausen. I spent the first 20 years of my life in front of the Clausen Park, and the rest of my, 69 years on Bowman. I'm here, I have a cheat sheet here somewhere. What did I do with it? I'm here because of Joe. What did I do with it, Joe? Oh, I need to go back and grab my cheat sheet. Sorry, folks.
Do you have it readily? Okay.
I do. Okay, yeah, and I actually have a timer on because I know I talk too much. So, Joe, I want to thank you for your 30 years of service in the Naval Reserves. I have a list of city managers here from 1927 to date. That's 98 years. We had 22 total. The length of service for some, 17 years, 13, 9, 7, 5, 4, and 1 year. And then there's 2, 4, 5, 7, and 9 months of service. That revolving door started in 2018. Joe started on March 14th of 2022 during a time of utter chaos, but I would be willing to bet at this time that Joe knows personally the name of every employee that works for the city: DPW, librarian, museum, recreation center, and the police department. There is a spirit of camaraderie that you feel when you go into the different departments. It's palpable. There's something to be said for this continuity and community. It's now 2025, and there are so many positive things that have happened under his guidance. The bricks have been repaired in downtown that were a tripping hazard for years. Trees that should have never been planted with bricks surrounding their base were removed. I don't know where the roots were supposed to go. The gardens in the sidewalk, walkways that were great for cigarette butts, tripping, and weeds, they've been removed. I don't know if anybody's noticed the gazebo, the gardens at the gazebo, the gardens in front of City Hall, the pots in front of City Hall, at the library. He's sneaky that way, Joe. You know, when we were doing the planting at the gazebo, he showed up. He got dirty. He dug. And you know why he did that? Because he wants to know the city. He wants to know the worker bees. He was able to recruit Donna Hughes to guide us on the work of the gardens around the city. Have you noticed? The berm, the potted plants. I'm telling you, it's just getting better and better under his guidance. Joe goes to school events. I saw him in the park when the city was gathered to honor Alex Verner. He was there. Who else was there? Were any of you there? Yeah. Okay. He sat on the porch with Eva Burns, God bless her, during the 4th of July fireworks. He's connected with the superintendent in the schools. I believe it is also within the scope of his ability to be able to read and interpret ordinances and the charter. I read the ordinance number 792, and I see nothing requiring legal guidance, which was apparently sought. Why and at what cost? Are we getting charged for your opinion on this? I'm just wondering how that works. Glenn Chevry has my support. Joe was only on board for 2 months when I came to him as chairperson of the Blair Bazaar. It was the first bazaar that was ever held. We did it to make money for the Friends of the Library because we were kind of short-suited because of COVID and weren't able to have book fairs. I was a bit irate. He listened to and addressed my concerns. I learned and followed protocol in order to ensure a successful and safe event, and Joe assured me that everyone would play by the same rules. We were safe and successful. My hope is that Joe stays on board, is not micromanaged, and continues to do an excellent job. And now for the appointments to the different boards. Is my time up?
Your time is up.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I'll come back later.
Well, we'll see you next week, right? Or next time. All right, do we have anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Katie Terrell, resident. I have heard from most of you all through my emails, and I greatly appreciate for all the responses. I know a lot of my friends and neighbors have it as well. So I am here tonight to speak about the process of filling this vacancy to respectfully and strongly endorse Alex Bishuk. My comments are framed by 2 undeniable facts from the recent election that must guide your decision. First, let's be clear about the Democratic expression in the last election. In the entire council was up for re-election, and not a single incumbent seat won. This is not a minor shift. This is an overwhelming mandate from the citizens for new voices and a new direction. The voters did not simply prefer new voices, they demanded them by removing every incumbent seeking re-election. Therefore, the person who finished 5th, a defeated incumbent, is explicitly not the person the citizens want to see on this council. Among all the candidates who were not elected, Alex Bishuk secured the most votes as the next preferred new voice. He is the voters' chosen successor, the next new voice they elevated, fully aligned with the massive movement for change demonstrated at the ballot box. Second, the support for Alex Bishuk is not just historical, it is active and current. We have not yet submitted, but will be submitting today, a petition with resident signatures endorsing his appointment. This confirms that the support he earned in the election continues today. By appointing Alec, you are doing three things. You are upholding the democratic will embedded in our ordinance. You are respecting the overwhelming mandate for change by choosing a new voice, not a rejected one. You are acknowledging the clear present support of the community demonstrated by our petition. Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Should I turn this petition over now or wait?
I'll tell you what, we'll address that at that agenda item.
Cool.
Good evening, all, and welcome to the new group up here. My name's Greg Casera. I live at 239 North Main, 4 doors down here. And I want to speak about agenda item number 9C, where you're going to be discussing the boards and commission appointments tonight. A little bit of my background, I spent 6 years up there on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I spent 4 years up there as a councilman, and I'm currently the chair of the Planning Commission. And I've been doing this for, I think, 6 years. So I don't know if you knew my history, but that's what my background is. And what I would advocate for is, and I don't know how you're going to handle this tonight, I have the feeling that you're going to not appoint 2 people and try to appoint 2 new people. But from my opinion, we have Athena Collins and Andrea Lalonde, who have just been appointed to the commission 3 months ago. So I got newbies up there. They're brand new people. And I have Aaron Hale, who was just put on in November. He's a new guy. So I got, out of 9 people, I have 3 new people now. I would love to keep Nate Hara and Aaron Redmond. They're experienced. They know what they're talking about. They've been doing this for years. I think that would make the Planning Commission much more solid. If you take them away from me and put on 2 new people, it takes years to learn. You'll find out as you're there. It's not easy to do this job or that job, any job, really. It takes time and experience. And that's what I'm advocating for. Both these people, Nate and Aaron, have experience. So that's my opinion. I hope you consider them. Thank you. And can we turn the heat up now?
Anyone else? When people talk at the podium, can you make sure you pull it down?
Should I lower it a little?
That's
Is that
even
better? Okay. All right. Hi, Council. My name is Allison King, and I am a Clausen resident. I am here this evening to endorse Alex Bishak. Alec is the best candidate for council as he is extremely hands-on member of our community. Through his work with the Chamber of Commerce, the DDA, the Knights of Columbus, and the Lions Club, he has gained an insight into our community and has gotten to speak with several citizens. I believe Alec's background in banking and real estate has provided expertise in budgeting. The tax burden in this city is real, and the misuse of city funds by the previous administration has strained us all. While Alec did not receive as many votes as Glenn Shepard in the recent election, I feel he is the superior candidate and the best choice to represent the people of Clausen. Glenn Shepard was instrumental in the special election, an unnecessary waste of my tax dollars. While Mr. Shepard voted to misuse our funds again when he unnecessarily extended the city manager's contract, he made this choice after listening to public comment for over an hour. In this hour, we, the people, his constituents, pleaded against this vote. He did not listen, nor did he care. Mr. Shepard also suggested we sell the Renshaw apartments without plans for the senior citizens who reside there. Leaving the most vulnerable members of our community unhoused is cruel and irresponsible. Glenn Shepard does not represent the best interest of this city. Alex Bishak will make conscious, informed choices and lead with transparency. Thank you for taking the time to consider Alex's application. I have great faith in our new council, and I have no doubt that you all make the best decision to benefit our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? Took the long way around.
Hi, my name is Linda Hale, 940 West Selfridge. First, I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Riker. I agree with everything that Gene has said. I believe that he's done a lot for this city. Also, I'm really disappointed that what I thought was going to happen is happening in regards to Mr. Riker. I misspoke at council before when I said just give him what he was asking for. What I meant to say was to give him protection against a vendetta. There's been an ongoing grudge against Mr. Riker, and on the agenda to make sure he gets fired. How sad is that? Not because he hasn't done his job. In fact, he's done his job. He's done a fine job running the city. I'm hopeful that the new council will not carry someone else's agenda. And also, I'm here to speak on behalf of Mr. Shepherd. And the reason you're here today is that you all said that you would listen to the voters, and the voters spoke. Mr. Shepherd came in right behind Mr. Tinlin and applied for the vacant seat. So logically, one would think that he would get that seat. He has the experience and the accomplishments behind him. So unless he's done something terribly wrong, it would be a slap in the face to all the people that voted for him not to choose him. I understand that you might want someone else that you believe agrees with you all the time, but that's not what council is about. We need a variety of opinions and experience. I have heard that you believe you have a mandate to change every person in the council since you won. I've been hearing the word mandate a lot, and that's just not true. It's not a mandate. There's somebody else in the government that believes they have a mandate. They've been changing the government, and you see how that's working out for us. By not placing him on council, you're doing the same thing that you've accused the previous council of doing. By replacing good people for no good reason, you will be lacking the transparency you ran on, and instead of starting off with an obvious agenda. Lord knows I haven't always agreed with Mr. Shepherd, and there are some things I still disagree with him about. But that doesn't prevent me from seeing that he is the best person at this time for that seat. I have nothing against any of the other candidates, I assure you, but I do believe that Mr. Shepherd has earned this seat, and so did a lot of other people. He was only a couple hundred votes right behind Mr. Tinlin. So there are a lot of people in this town that believe that Mr. Shepherd should get that seat, and I'm really hopeful that everyone here, especially the young ones, will take that into account and not have an agenda against someone just because you think that you have to change everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Jason Cost, resident of Clawson, and I just wanted to talk about the open position and the idea of filling it with the next highest vote getter. I don't really consider the fifth place vote getter, Glenn Shepherd, as being the fifth place person as part of the voice of the city. If the people of the city had 5 votes instead of 4, I think we should strongly consider that the fifth place vote getter would be a completely different outcome. So I think that's something to consider when talking about how important the votes were for the fifth place person. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Cindy Peltonen, I live in Clausen. I just wanted to, for the record and for people who might not have researched this as thoroughly, note that when this ordinance was presented, both times Mr. Riker said, these are 3 options available to the council. So number 3 says you can consider, or you shall consider, whatever, but it's clear that it's number 1, number 2, or number 3, or some of each. And so it looks to me like you've chosen to go with number 1, which is to gather the information from candidates or people who would like to apply and make your decision from that. But the way I read it, the way it was presented in the meetings and voted on by the former council was that number 3 is an option that's available to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Knutson, North Bywood.
Can you come a little closer to the microphone to make sure we can?
So I'm really happy that you were all elected, and I voted for you, trusting that you would do the right thing. I believe that by interviewing and going through the candidates and vetting them for what you feel the city needs, because that's why I voted for you, I think it's your choice and your decision. That's why I voted for you, to make the new decisions, make hard decisions. I don't think campaigning for a position and having other people say and be all over the internet saying, you know, so-and-so should be it because he came in X. No, he lost the election. He lost. That count is done with. It has no bearing on your appointment. That's.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one getting up. Anyone behind the screen there? All right. Seeing we have no other people, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. And our next item is proclamations and presentations. And for that, we have the City Council Training Session number 1 with James Vitrino. All right, please join us.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of council. I think a presentation will be brought up shortly. I will now kill time till it comes up. Can you see the screen? Should I?
I can see it.
All right. First, thank you very much for having me here with you this evening. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with the mayor and the city council on governance. As a start of your new term, and I'll get into that in a slide, it's great that you kick off this way. I'm going to introduce myself in the next slide. I can see your name placards, which is really helpful to me. But what I would really like to do is start, because this isn't going to be very interactive. Like, I teach at a university, and as long as you don't put your hoodie up and fall asleep, I'll think I'm doing a pretty good job. But this is going to be very one-way communication for most of it. But I'd love to start with just tell me one thing you love about Clausen. Then that'll get my energy up. I'll feel better about myself, and then I'll move into the rest of the presentation. So I don't care, Madam Mayor, it's your council, wherever you'd like folks to start. One thing, your favorite thing about City of Clausen, or it's something you love about the city.
Let's start at the end with Councilmember Tinlin, and we'll work our way over.
Always the first, right? So I think what I enjoy most about Clausen is the sense of community and the neighborhoods, right? Our ability to care for one another. That's, I think, very unique in our world nowadays, in the small town charm.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. So what I love about Clausen is I grew up here. So I've been here since I was 5, and I was told my recent birthday I'm a double nickel. I didn't know what that meant. But anyway, not to give away my age, but just growing up here, I've lived in 6 different places in the city. I've gone to 6 different schools. I've seen a lot of change. I know a lot of people, families, people are connected, and what I really love about the city is that how much support there is. Encouragement, support. When I campaigned, there were so many people that came up to me and just were happy to learn about the campaign and what we're doing and everything. So that's my favorite part of being in Clawson.
Well, like Laura, I also grew up here, so that's a double-edged sword sometimes. Being from a small town, everybody knows everybody. But I look out here and I see a lot of faces that I went to high school with, and a lot of us came full circle. Like Meredith and I went to school together too. But that small community is definitely something that's just warm and super awesome, and something that you just don't get everywhere. But we have some really awesome events here in Clawson, something that's been around way before I was born, but that continues on is our 4th of July. We are known for our 4th of July. And a newer event as well that I like to pump is Clawson Fest. So we have some of the best good times here in Clawson too. So, yeah.
All right. Well, a little more literal, I guess. I think we have the best location for having an actual small town, but being so close to everything that you want to be close to. Yeah, we have the highways everywhere. We have Detroit. You can go to Canada. Well, used to go to Canada a lot. Close, we have water everywhere, by the Great Lakes. But we're still this small town, and it's kind of remarkable because you can't really do that a lot of places anymore. But in Clawson, you can.
So Susan Moffett, I didn't grow up here, but I've been here for 34 years. And Clawson is a special town and a special community. And I always say you don't see other people going, I'm from Troy, but you hear people go, I'm from Clawson. And there's something special about it. And I'm going to have a part 2, and that is the amazing engagement that we have right now with the community. All these people filling the chambers. There's times in the past when there was no one here except for Mr. Casera. It was empty, and we were just talking to the ether. So it's just amazing. The community involvement and the spirit that we have going on in the city right now is amazing.
Name's Aiden O'Rourke. My favorite thing has to be my neighbors. Everybody looks out for each other. We still have that feel where you can just go and sit on somebody's porch and just have a conversation, or in a lot of bigger cities, I feel like that touch has been lost. And also the small businesses and the stories behind the owners is incredible in this town. So that's all.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for indulging me in that. And it was what I would think I would hear from you in terms of that small, close-knit community that you all obviously have worked very hard to be able to be on in the seats that you're at. And it's admirable, and I appreciate the effort and now the work that will proceed. It's a daunting time to be an elected official. So thank you for the service that you'll start with this term. Is this going to work? We're going to find out.
Downside, we don't have technology.
Yeah, I think when you flip the...
There we go.
All right. Okay, so real quick, I'll spend least time on this slide. So I was a city manager for 17 years here in Michigan, most recently in the city of Rochester, but Pennsylvania before that. I've got 10 years as a faculty member at a local university, and 10 years as a consultant where I've done about 100 municipal projects right here in Michigan. All right, you're not going to be able to see some of it. I welcome questions throughout. So if at any point when I pause after I make a point, feel free to give me the eyes or give me a little wave, and I'll pause for questions. This presentation really is about my experience in the areas we'll cover. I'm not a lawyer. You have a city attorney who can cover this stuff in a different way. My goal is to, from the experience I've had in the communities I've worked with, provide the presentation. So tonight's goals is to provide the new council with condom foundation, review key statutory requirements and best practices, and the council manager form of government. And really to establish a foundation so that you go forward on this new council term all having the same information, because I'm sure some of you have looked at Open Meetings Act, you've looked at FOIA information, you've looked at different ways that the council manager form of government works. This presentation is kind of to bring everybody up to the very base. It is a very base level of those items. So also for the public as they're viewing it, hopefully I'll do a pretty good job presenting it so that they are also at a base level as you move forward. The topics, I start each of these with the word brief, because each of the slides that I go into, we could have a class in a public administration course about that subject. So we're just going to hit these things relatively brief, and then we can do follow-up if you choose. Next slide. All right, so we're going to start with our Open Meetings Act, or the OMA. It really has two requirements. A quorum of council present. So for you now is 4 council members, and there's deliberation. That means the 4 of you can go to a holiday party all you want and be in the same room, and that's not a problem. But if you start talking city business in that room, that becomes a problem. So the fact that 4 or more gather is not a violation of the Open Meetings Act. If 4 or more gather and city business is discussed, that would be a violation. So as you move forward, I'm sure most of you or all of you are aware of that. But for the public to know that it is not, you can still maintain your relationships. It's just a condition on speaking of city business. So the OMA also has a requirement to post meetings. I'm sure your staff posts your annual meetings for you, so your regular scheduled meetings you don't have to worry about. You can call a special meeting through different mechanisms, but that requires 18-hour notice. So as long as you have an 18-hour notice posting, you can have a public meeting where you can render decisions as a body. Closed session meetings are very, very limited and very prescriptive in Michigan law of what you can do or why you could go into a closed session. Closed session being a meeting where no public is allowed, where you wouldn't have any video, where you would not make decisions within that meeting, but have a discussion on specific topics that are allowed. These are attorney-client privilege communication, which is probably the most common. Often there'll be an item that comes up with pending litigation, potential litigation, or some kind of opinion that you need to receive from your attorney. Purchase of real estate doesn't happen that often, but if you need to do that, that obviously can be in closed session. Personnel evaluations upon request of the employee. That second part is important. It must be upon the request of the employee. And third, review candidate applications for positions that you directly hire. For you, it's your city manager position. But even in that case, it can only be paper applications. You can't interview anyone. You can't have any other individuals other than the individual that may be presenting you with those applications, the paper applications or the digital information. Those are the reasons you can go into closed session. And they're very valuable. The public should be aware when you go into closed session. You will come out of closed session and make any decisions that you need to make. But it's very, very important that you understand when those times are to go into closed session to handle those matters. Next slide. Common pitfalls. Email, text, social media has made this harder in terms of following OMA. And then sequential communication with the purpose of reaching consensus. You note at the bottom of my slides, and I'll make sure that they're available for you, I cite different law or different cases. And this sequential communication with the purpose of reaching consensus, I think, is actually more common than people think about. So it is a violation of OMA, or it's been found that, you're talking one-to-one to each other as elected officials, and then you talk one-to-one to the next and one-to-one to the next with the intent of figuring out what is the majority or what are 4 people thinking. That's actually been found to be a violation if it could be found that it was for that specific reason. Having said that, you can talk talk one-on-one about potential items that are on your council agenda. You can have that discussion with 3 of you, frankly. But the linchpin in that is the sequential, purposeful finding a pre-decision based on getting around the 4 in a room. You can go ahead and press it. Please, 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 please never hit reply all on an email. That's the number one OMA issue that is out there for councils. You'll get a correspondence from the city manager or from a city staff member or from the city attorney, and you'll hit reply all because you just do sometimes. I encourage staff, I'm sure others that communicate with all of you at once, because it is important that all of you get the same information at the same time, to use BCC, which is an easy way to avoid a reply all, because then you simply, even if you reply all, it's not going anywhere. You can hit the next. Don't create a group chat with 4 members. That may seem obvious, but you may have that currently for social reasons or pre-election reasons or running for office reasons. I would encourage you to go in and delete those chats. You may never use it, but the fact that it's there could be an issue for the future. And why have that? It would be encouraging to remove that if you, whether it's in your phone or on your email distribution. Next. This one's more interesting. It's a recent phenomenon. Sometimes we'll comment on social media. I have another slide on some best practices for that. But interestingly, if 4 of you comment on the same social media thread, that could be interpreted as an OMA communication that you're having through that social media thread. I don't think anybody's going to care when the firework picture is posted and the 4 of you say that was beautiful last night. I don't think there's an issue there. But if it's a controversial issue and somebody says, I really support such and such, and then the next member comes in 4 down, maybe they even read that last post and say, I support that too, or I think that's a good idea, and then a few more. You can see how that can become problematic, and you may not even know it. You certainly don't have an intent, but limiting your social media comments on things, specifically in terms of a position or policy, is the best practice. But if you do, make certain you don't have 4 on the thread or that you're not the 4th one. All right. Best practice is if you want comments to get to all your peers, send them to the city manager and ask for whatever distribution methodology you may put in place, whether that's a weekly update or whether that's put in the next packet or whether that's some way to disseminate the information. Your access really as council members is two directions to get to all of your members. One is through the mayor. She is the chair of your board and certainly in some ways can get information to peers, but she has to be worried about also the OMA and distributing to all members. The city manager, on the other hand, can provide one-way communication in a way that's best practice and understood that's how, because all of you do need to communicate to each other somehow, some way. All right. Switching to Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, ensures public access to government information, super important law, and it includes everything in writing, regardless of format or ownership of device. Your phone is still your phone. Your laptop is still your laptop. But city-related content on your phone likely is also public information subject to FOIA. So sometimes elected officials have their own personal devices, and it looks like you in Clawson use your own personal devices for city business. Perfectly fine. But just know that the communication that is in that device, if it's related to city business, can be FOIA'd and can be released through that law. So, next one. Best practice. Just everything in writing, regardless of what device you're using, is something that should be professional, factual, and that you'd be okay getting FOIA'd. Best advice I ever got when I went through city manager school was, don't say it, don't write it, don't do it unless it can be on the front page. And I think it's becoming more and more of a truth that when we are posting things, even in our own machines and our own emails and our own texts, to be really aware, am I okay with that if it is FOIA'd? All right. I'm not going to go into Robert's Rules of Order because they're really boring. But that is the structure that most elected bodies do follow or try to follow, and there's lots of rules. Guess that's why it's got the title. But the purpose of Robert's Rules of Order is to ensure structure, fairness, and clarity. And I think just observing a little bit of your meeting, obviously you have structure, obviously you have fairness with the time keep. Obviously, you have clarity. What I would most encourage when you come to motions, second, debates, and votes, you follow that process. And that your debate, another best practice, though not a requirement, is you really debate through the chair. So you limit your crosstalk with each other, with staff, with administration. I heard the mayor, and I thought it was an appropriate best practice announcement that you don't crosstalk with residents that are providing you their public comment. That is their time. In your time, you can provide response. But again, that's through the chair, and that's a best practice to limit direct confrontation. All right. Social media management. This is one we could have a whole semester on, but I've got one slide. Cities generally should use social media to inform and not debate, and that's the city itself. Your personal pages can be managed differently, but I would encourage that the city itself, and if you are receiving things that are directly city related, next slide, a best practice to consider is one person or department should respond for the city when there's a social media need to respond. Elected officials and staff should follow a clear protocol for referring content to that designated reviewer or responder. It's just a practice that I think over time, last 10 years, cities have really tried to figure out how to be both responsive to residents, put out factual information to residents, but also not engage in a way that can sometimes get into argumentative when the best place to have those discussions is within this room, where it can be televised, where the elected officials are all sitting together and can hear it, and where administration is represented and can also respond. Elected and appointeds are always public officials. Probably don't need me to comment more on that. And as I said it before, when I was referring to FOIA, would you say it in council chambers is a really good rule to follow as you begin your social media. Some of you have already been, but as you begin your social media life as an elected official. All right, two pieces of this slide. Legal opinions from the city attorney and precedent. Legal opinions from your city attorney are important. They provide clarity on high-impact questions, and they are carefully crafted to withstand scrutiny. So they may not respond in a way that you would hope for. They may not respond in a way that you would expected, but the city attorneys are trained in a way that these opinion letters hold a lot of weight. So when you ask for one, know that they should be well researched, know that they should be well documented, and know that they should provide inform future decisions, not maybe just the question that you're asking for. Precedent. Sometimes I hear, well, those other folks did something before I was elected. And that is a fair statement. But now you are the city, and the people that were before you were the city. And so the actions that were taken in your advance is the precedent that the community has, and is whether it's an ordinance or a resolution, certainly your charter, but ordinances and resolutions, they're important for public expectations. Your zoning ordinance, your master plan, those documents that exist, people rely on to make business decisions, people rely on to make important life decisions about where they're going to live and what their neighborhood's going to look like and what type of government that they're expecting. Having said all of that, you are now the city, and if you want to take a new direction, a new policy, a new resolution, a new ordinance, go through the process and pass it. Pass it through a public process. There's no real reason to belabor something that you don't like that is in the form of those things. You just have to go through the process to change it. My best practice thought is, don't not do what the precedent is. That is your obligation, but you also aren't locked into it because now you are the elected body. All right, couple slides on council manager form of government. I could go like real nerdy here, so when you start to, get sleepy, I'll know to move on. Thank you, man. The council manager form of government is a relatively young form of government. It's a very United States form of government. We created it in the United States at the turn of the century, between the 19th and 20th century, and it came out of concern of political party machines. Our friends down in Chicago around the turn of the century had some really good political machines that got cousins, brothers, uncles into administrative jobs. And there was a backlash in the United States, and they created a different form of government, one that you have here in Clawson, and many municipalities, many municipalities in Oakland County chose to adopt when they incorporated as cities after 1900. It's moved to an administrative executive power from the elected official being the administrator to a hired person. And it was intended actually when the was being developed to model some of the CEO governance that was seen in the private sector, that they said, we like the CEO with board of directors style that the private sector had become popular in that time. And how do we replicate that for our cities? So that was the birth of this form of government. You still have some strong mayor forms of government right here locally in Warren and Rochester Hills. Many townships with a strong township supervisor would be that style of government. But that city manager form of government really took hold, especially in smaller municipalities throughout the Midwest, and even in our larger municipalities in the South and the far West use the form of government. Okay. It's ineffective, but roles have to be very clear in this form of government. When you have a strong mayor form, you can kind of blend certain things. In a city manager council form of government, you really need to have some clear roles. The elected body sets policy, the manager executes the policy. At the end of the day, that is the number one tenet for the form of government. All the other items that are after that comment are fine, but one's a policy-setting body, one's an execution administrative body. You can click it again, and one more time. So the vision, goals, public policy, that's the council's job. Day-to-day results and expertise is the hired manager's job. And really the form of government has the mayor and the council giving direction to the individual that they employ as the manager, and then the manager taking that direction to their staff. Cities have different policies when it comes to elected officials communicating directly with staff with questions. There's no real right or wrong way. The most conservative best practice is all communication goes through the manager. I've seen other cities say all communication goes through the manager as a copied, but okay to talk with department heads if you have a specific question on a specific matter. I leave that to you to consider with your manager. This is like a dance or like a marriage. You have to find that middle ground and in what pieces of this city manager form of government work best for you. But the best practice is to start with your communication goes through the city manager for the staff. All right. That slide looks pretty busy with a lot of words. This is from your Clawson Charter. On the one side, I'll just say, your Clawson Charter basically takes council manager form of government and embeds it in your charter. There are some charters that have some deviations in what we would normally see in a traditional council manager form of government. Your charter really does not. It policy through ordinances and resolutions, approve the budget, appoint the manager, remove the manager, appoint your piece that is a little bit extra in your charter that maybe in a pure council manager form written charter wouldn't have, is you also appoint your city attorney and your city auditor, which is a good check and balance on the city manager. It's probably why your charter has that those two positions are appointed by the council. Some have that the manager makes those appointments. On the other side, just as the last slide had suggested, City manager enforces the laws, hires and manages your department heads and the services provided therefrom, and prepares the budget and is your purchasing agent, subject to the purchasing limits that are set by city council and whatever other bid requirements you have outside of the charter. But your charter is very classic council manager form of government. All right. So the last slide I have on this topic is one column, that would be your your left column is the general city manager appointment best practices, and from your current city manager agreement, best practice appointed by training, hold them to the ICMA ethics standards, and set clear performance expectations. Your current manager contract that I had an opportunity to review really mirrors the charter on the requirements for the position. Termination with or without clause with a severance, resignation with 60-day notice, and an evaluation must be completed within 30 days of anniversary. These are from the two documents. One, ICMA, which is the International City Manager Association. You'll see that reference on a number of my slides in terms of what they suggest for elected officials when it comes to hiring a manager. And then also on this slide are the terms that I just pulled from your city manager agreement. Certainly, there are a lot more terms in there. Certainly, ICMA provides their ethics list very clearly. I won't go into detail on either of those, but certainly I hope you take some time with both of those documents because they are important. All right. So, recommended next steps, and I will leave some time at the end for questions because unfortunately you didn't interrupt me at all and we didn't get any questions. But just some next steps if you choose. This is a touch self-serving because these are services that I also provide to cities. So I'm not saying it through that lens. I'm saying it often we see this from your peer cities. Procedural rules for council, boards, commissions, and these can be meeting management, expectations, and public engagement. And then finally, actually I mentioned it earlier, the council manager requests and expectations. If you can take time and set aside time on what those expectations are for both your boards and commissions and that they're operating in a way that's consistent with how this council wishes them to operate, and then also how your communication will be with your council, with your manager, setting those in writing. It's a document that you can refer to for consistency. Often there'll be goal setting or strategic planning workshops. These can be Saturday affairs, these can be multiple evening affairs, but often they're held in advance of your budget process. And this is a time where you can get together a little more informally. It is a public meeting, the public will be invited, but maybe it's in your back room there rather than on the dais, and maybe you have staff engaged with some topics, and maybe you have a facilitator where you can have conversations that are normal people type conversations without motions and actions, but rather answering questions like what do we want to accomplish next year? Your agendas are very appropriately formal. Council meetings are very appropriately formal. They're action oriented, they're action driven, but they often don't give time for those questions like what do we want our parks to be? What is most important in our community sidewalk replacement, whatever those things are that you want to have a real conversation with. Often those goal setting sessions, whether they're annual or twice a year, are highly valuable, and I would recommend them as a best practice. Finally, as stated earlier, you do need to do a performance evaluation with your city manager. Cities do these all different kinds of ways. Some of them have them facilitated with an external facilitator. Some have them facilitated by the mayor. Some ask the clerk to assist in collecting documentation. There's lots of different ways, but make sure that you are providing that feedback because it is the most important mechanism in terms of communication that you can formally give your manager. Next slide. All right. I am happy to answer any questions after I just talked at you for about 35 minutes.
Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, the only question, go for it.
So the social media aspect, you said
Yeah.
best practice was to not post at all opinions on city matters. With, like you said, social media is such an asset these days to get, the word out, talk to your constituents. Just turning off the comments on the post where there's no chance for council members commenting, does that make it better at least, or okay, or would you still say don't do that?
I know some cities turn off comments and some cities turn on comments. I think there is an opportunity through social media, through comments, to get feedback from your constituents. I don't know that comments specifically is a concern that I would have, because you may not like what some of them are going to say, and it may get to the point where evidence proves that you may want to shut it off because the comments are becoming damaging to the people that are either reading them or attacking in some way, that they're becoming damaging to those individuals that may be reading them. But short of that, I don't know that I'm recommending comments be off. I think what I'm recommending is that council members acting in your policy-making capacity be extra cautious when participating in the comments.
Okay, and I want to clarify, I'm not talking about the City of Clawson Facebook page, I'm talking about like my personal council member page,
Right.
but okay, yeah.
Yeah, rock it out on your comments. Get your constituents to tell you things, but also be wary about other council members commenting on your threads. In an absolute perfect world, city business kind of goes through a central funnel to get comments from the public. So I think if you can work on a social media policy that you could participate in a way that says, I'd like things posted, or I'd like to figure out a process for requesting information getting out. That's certainly something that I think would be also a best practice. But I don't ever want to have us fear social media, because it is a democratizing asset to hear from our constituents. But it also, just like we really think about how our minutes are taken and our minutes are published and our minutes are distributed, and how this meeting is recorded and how it's distributed, I think sometimes we aren't spending enough time thinking about how, as a city, we're receiving public information via social media, even as elected officials individually. It just has to be really thoughtful.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're saying that it would be incumbent upon all of us to stay off each other's Facebook pages.
I think it's worth a discussion. That
it's
would
fair.
be my
Right.
position.
Yep, no, I get it. Anything else? Anyone else?
Do we get this file?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my question. Will this be included in the minutes for the presentation? Will be included in the minutes for this meeting? Yes? Yes, perfect. Awesome.
May I ask a question?
You can
Mayor?
go right ahead, Councilmember Sawalski.
My question is, can we utilize the Outlook that we're all using for our email to place this presentation in Outlook?
I don't think I understood the question.
Would you like it emailed to you? Is that what you're asking?
No, so Outlook is not just email. You can have groups and things like that of sorts. And I don't know if there's anything anywhere in the city where all of us council members can get one file, so it's not having to be sent. And my question can we do that with Outlook? And is that possible? Can we have it set up? Does anybody know?
Are you thinking like a Google Doc kind of thing is what I'm familiar with, like one SharePoint site where this is at and we can all see it?
Sort of, but I'm pretty sure you can do that with the with the Outlook version that we're using.
I think that's a fair recommendation. However, I think including it in the minutes gets it in everyone's hands and it gets in the public's hands. I mean, I would be comfortable.
As an addition to, maybe.
I think I would defer to the city clerk to how she wants to handle that.
So I would think that the first thing to consider is the capabilities within Outlook, if it's something that the council members would be able to manipulate outside the perspective of the public. And so I'm not as familiar, like a Google Doc, if you were sharing that, you guys would be collaborating outside those who are included. So I'd have to better understand the capabilities you're referring to, and my concern would be that potential if that was a possibility.
I was just speaking about the file that he's presenting tonight.
I think you're
We're
just looking
just
for a
going
to- Lock it.
repository to be able to download it and keep it somewhere. And I think, again, it being in the minutes, I think you can do that with that.
So what I can do is I can include it in the Friday feedback. You'll have
Thank
it.
you.
Perfect. All right, one problem solved today. Anything else? All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate your insight and your knowledge, and I think it was a very valuable presentation. Thank you.
Thank you and have a good rest of your meeting.
Awesome. All right. Okay, go ahead. Let's readjust the room real quick. Is there someone hiding behind that, or? All right. It's cold. It's cold. Oh, look, there's other people here. Excellent. All right, awesome, thank you. All right, let's move on to our next item on the agenda, which is consideration of approving the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of minutes of the organizational city council meeting held on Monday, November 17th, 2025 as presented, minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025 as presented, and the list of bills, the amount of $1,619,299.47. Can I get a motion?
I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
And a second.
Second.
Can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Pelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
I have a question, but my speaker doesn't work.
So there's not questions available on the consent agenda.
Okay.
In the future, what you would do is move to have something removed from the consent agenda when the agenda in general is approved.
Okay. My answer would be yes then.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Right. So we just approved the consent agenda, which was the minutes of the organizational city council meeting held on November 17th, 2025, the minutes of the Tuesday, November 18th meeting, and the list of bills. All right. Moving on to agenda item 9A, which is consideration of discussion of the city attorney's legal opinion regarding the city manager's actions from the public as shared at the November 18th, 2025 city council meeting. I could get a motions for discussion.
Madam Mayor, I move to discuss the city attorney's opinion regarding the city manager's actions thereof from the public as shared at the November 18th, 2025 city council meeting.
Second.
So this item agenda is here because during the public comment on November 18th, there was a resident who asked about some of the city manager's conduct and had written a document and wanted to present it to the city manager so that they could give a legal opinion about that. Mr. Nushai is here to talk about that. I do have one question, though, because someone asked about the cost associated with obtaining your legal opinion, if you could address that.
There was no cost, ma'am.
That's what I thought. It was part of your regular retainer, but I just wanted to, because we said we would, so I wanted to clarify that. Did you want to talk about it, or did you want to wait for there's discussion from?
There's, if I were allowed to.
That's not working really well. Is it on?
I think it's, I see green light. Oh, I see. I'll speak into it. Is that better? Okay. Good. I have, obviously, my opinion stands for itself. I'm happy to address it in any way, shape, or form that may be helpful, if at all, but otherwise, that is my 2 cents, given the understanding from council's sort of taking in of the letter and concerns of the resident, addressing them as I have, I believe, answers the questions that you need answered for purposes of prior meetings. But if anybody has any questions, obviously, I'm happy to try to elucidate better.
Is there any, I see you, Councilmember Reykjavik.
Yes, I have several questions, yes. And this goes back to the whole process, I guess, because we weren't part of that. So I'm hoping maybe you can answer some of these questions for us tonight.
If I
So-
can, I will.
Okay. So for starters, can you help the council understand when it comes to this amendment, like who initiated the first communications regarding this contract amendment?
The contract of the city manager, ma'am?
Yes.
I can't speak to that, but I imagine the city manager.
Okay. Do you know when did the discussions about updating the contract and the amendment first begin?
No, ma'am.
When was the amendment, was this amendment requested by the city manager or by a council directive?
You'd have to go back to those meetings, ma'am, but I
Okay,
imagine.
so that it was all in open meetings, there wasn't anything,
Well, there's a component of it that obviously, deals with, there's a back and forth between the city attorney and the city manager in this regard, that would not be a part of any open meeting.
Right,
as I
okay.
review the document.
Okay.
But other than that, everything else will be part of the open meeting.
okay. So in that regard, did your office receive a formal request from the city manager to review or draft that amendment?
Yeah, my office did, yes.
Okay. From Mr. Riker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was there a stated purpose or rationale for pursuing the specific changes at this time?
No, ma'am, not to me.
Okay. Were any council members consulted before your office began its review?
Obviously not.
Okay, just confirming. Did council issue any directive to begin the amendment process then, just to confirm? They did not then? Okay.
Only the open meeting.
Okay. I just want to make sure none of my questions are overlapping with your answers. Did your office receive any instruction from city administration or anyone else regarding the scope, urgency, or timing of the amendment?
There could possibly be.
Okay. Again, I'm just making sure nothing's crossing over here. Did you receive multiple drafts or only a final version to review?
I cannot even possibly remember that, but I imagine I draft the document.
Okay.
So city manager, I cannot answer that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay. Were there any sections you believe warranted negotiation or modification that weren't pursued?
I don't think that's a proper question, or the answer would not be a proper answer, because the body makes a determination as to the content. I review on the legality of it. If there was anything that was beyond the pale, you would have heard me utter such during the open meeting.
Okay. 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 So.
Any other comment, question, thoughts?
Well.
Can I ask a quick, can we do something about how cold it is in here? Is there, can we, it's cold in here. Is there something we can do about how cold it is?
Unfortunately, after hours with me, this.
Is it broken or?
I mean, we've had challenges off and on, and unfortunately, this happened literally just before this meeting started.
Okay.
So.
All right, so I want to get my coat. I'm going to get my coat. If you want to go ahead and, did you have something else you wanted to ask?
Well, I have, well, no more questions at this time.
I am always hot and I am shivering. Okay, if there are no other questions, go ahead. Mr.
Madam Mayor,
Rico.
I'd ask that the city attorney just surmise his opinion, if he wouldn't mind, please.
Surmising and summarize?
Just the high points and your findings, please, if you would indulge.
If I may, Madam Mayor, so there's, basically only two items that were requested of an opinion for all intents and purposes. One was with respect to the severance addendum, and the other one was with respect to endorsement of the official packet. As I took a look at those two items that were requested, and I did my analysis, obviously with respect to the first portion of it, the severance addendum, not so much as the content of it, but obviously the manner in which the process developed. It was a proper meeting of council. A lot of the concerns that were outlined by members of the community, which was that this was an action from a lame duck council. True enough, that said, nonetheless, I only deal with the legality of it. And as I deal with the legality of it, the rest of those considerations unfortunately fall by the wayside as far as I'm concerned. The legality of it deals with whether this meeting was properly noticed, properly with members of council, which were properly elected and serving, and the agenda was proper, votes were proper, consideration was out and in front of the public, open meeting, no violations. I have no concerns from a legality perspective. Furthermore, going down then to the portion that deals with respect to the endorsement of the official packet, I go through an analysis. Again, I deal with the legality. The city attorney always deals with the legality. There's a lot of considerations that were obviously made part of sort of the open record of the meetings of council that I don't deal with because I cannot and I must not. But in my analysis, obviously, the statements in the council packet do not break any laws. I don't believe there's any legality there. So that's my ultimate opinion with respect to that. Mind you, and I think for purposes, because I believe that sometimes we go back and forth with respect to these issues when it comes to various items that we have before this body over time. One thing I think it bears, and it doesn't play so much here for purposes of this opinion, but in the future, just for our consideration, obviously the role of the city attorney is somewhat unique. Sometimes, it's natural for members of our community, members of council, to want to seek, the city attorney to state, this is illegal. You will never, ever hear me or any city attorney ever say that. My role is not to declare things legal or illegal. My role as the city's attorney is to represent the 12,500 residents of this fair city as they are represented by the 6 and soon-to-be 7 of you, which means ultimately that I will always nudge you, hopefully in the right direction by way of my opinions, and any attorney would, to attempt to have you always be on the right side of the law no matter what. But God forbid there's ever a time when you do not, right, or any member of this administration does not. The city attorney's role is not to necessarily state that that's illegal. On the contrary, my role would be to defend the city till death do us part, basically.
So, and I think that's fair, and that's actually kind of the comments that I sort of have noted down here myself, and that's we put you in a untenable situation in that, you are here to protect the city and the administration and you represent all of us in legal matters and that kind of stuff. So asking you to analyze the situation, and I have the document here, it was specifically asked that regarding professional ethics, conflict of interest, or proper use of public resources, rightly so, you can't opine on any of those things, right? You can only talk about the legality of it. And so I guess, which I get, no one's faulting you for that, you were doing your job. But, so the question comes to the rest of us here, that if we wanted someone who's not bound by those parameters, if we wanted a greater opinion, do we want to engage with someone who's not bound by those to opine on these particular things, just to set everyone's, what's the word I'm like, not conscious, but have everyone have a level of comfort with what's transpired?
I fear you will, you can't necessarily simply go out shopping for more opinion. I think the way this works will be that if anyone, and any member of this fair city, actually, any resident of this fair city, would have a cause of action to address whatever thoughts they may have with respect to the propriety or impropriety or any such action, and take the appropriate steps either by way of lawsuits or filing ethics complaints, whatever the case may be. Shopping for additional, unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily work that way in my humble opinion, but there are avenues nonetheless.
So, to paraphrase then, perhaps the individual who asked for this they asked in the wrong place, and they should perhaps pursue someplace else for whatever ends they're trying to achieve.
Right, and we cannot give legal advice, nor
Of
advice
course you
against
cannot,
our own
but
interests,
essentially, this isn't the place
this
to
isn't
have.
the place, no.
Fair. Any other comments?
Well, I mean, I feel I would still like to have, I'd like to have move a motion forward for independent legal review because of.
Go ahead and make the motion.
Okay.
We'll see if we have a second.
And we can talk about it.
Make the motion.
Okay. Well, I move that the council request an independent supplemental legal review of the city manager's contract, amendments, including that with compliance of Michigan Public Act 317, to review the sufficiency and structure of the severance provisions and any additional legal ambiguities, liabilities, or financial risks that may require council attention.
Second, for discussion.
Okay, so my question would be, Mr. Nushai, that any outside legal opinion that the city would retain, would they be bound by some of the same limitations that you are?
First of all, remember, you will be placing yourself in a position where you're hiring an attorney to fight sort of your own city manager, where the body itself, in some fashion, presuming that it's a 6-0, right? Because if it becomes something other than 6-0, it becomes even more complex than that. You're seeking an opinion from some outsider, against the city, so to speak. That becomes, and against the rules and obligations that the city has, that becomes a very sort of unique situation, perhaps not without precedent, but certainly not with precedent in a very long time anywhere around here.
So again, it would be better served for the entire, whatever the goal of doing that would be, it would be better served if it didn't, the genesis of it was not the council.
No, I would never recommend that. I agree, ma'am. The genesis of it cannot be the council. Again, every citizen that may feel any which way about any action of the city, council of this city, or the city manager may take action separate and distinct without, having council be the vehicle for taking such action, because they have a cause of action, they have means within the city and the city's charter and code of ordinances to be able to address any point they may deem necessary, without making the council the vehicle for it, which would be, in my opinion, an improper vehicle.
Okay. So can you expand on why it's an improper vehicle for the council? Is it a misuse of the stated oath, or how do we clarify the gravity of it being improper for the council to do that?
This, you have an opinion, like it or not, right? And full or you may not consider it appropriately dispositive of all the issues that you may have in your mind with respect to the topic. right? But it is the legal opinion, and we cannot change that legal opinion, right? The legal opinion remains, right? It may not address all the all the options, all the considerations that you may have before you. But now to go seek an additional opinion, right? What will be the worth of that, right? The only thing it will do is tell you one thing or another. It will not be affecting this opinion. Then what remains is what is the action that council takes based on that opinion. To me, it's improper.
So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the intention behind your request would be to have someone who could opine on, not you were able to comment on just the legality, but the professional ethics, conflict of interest, or proper use of public resources. Are you saying that it would be likely that if an outside counsel would not comment on those things?
Probably not. I mean,
Okay.
not properly, in my opinion, in any way. And again, you will be, remember, the city attorney represents the city, right? So whatever that opinion, you'll be juxtaposing, you'll be placing the city in direct contradiction and, in effect, fighting whatever legal opinion is coming our way.
Because your opinion represents us.
Yes, ma'am.
And we would be asking for an opinion that would conflict with the opinion that was given to represent us. Okay.
Mayor Moffett, can I?
Yes,
Please.
please.
Mr. Rennes, if I changed that motion and asked you to provide us with an updated legal opinion, specifically applying Michigan Public Act 317 to all of those amendments?
I'm sorry, I can address that right now.
Okay.
I read the gentlelady's opinion. In my humble opinion, she misapprehends the Public Act, and as a result, misapplies it.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Could you say that again? I couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
In my humble opinion, what I read, that was submitted, I believe, to myself, and I believe the rest of council as well, misapprehends the Public Act, and as a result, misapplies it.
Okay.
Any other discussion or comments? Anyone else want to say anything? Councilmember Tinlin, you look like the wheels are turning.
I'm thinking, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to go down a rabbit hole here.
Yes, sir.
And just, again, I'm fiscally responsible. How much does this cost, right? Not saying you're free, kind of, right? You're on contract. But yeah, so I know we wanted to make sure we do due diligence, but I don't see what's the output? If truly a second opinion says there's a problem, what do we do then?
No, precisely. And I think I'm more of the opinion that, the latter portion of your consideration, at least for my purposes, is the appropriate one. I leave the fiscal considerations, obviously, to this body. But where it places us is somewhere we don't want to be, we meaning the city, don't want to be placed. Particularly because there's avenues that simply exist for every single resident of the city. They can make whatever challenge necessary, right, whether it be a court of law, and we've had that joyful consideration in the past, and not too recent past. I want to remind us that ultimately, this is not a new legal issue for this body. And as Mr. Vitrino said, you are the body, and your previous iterations of this body are, you're one and the same ultimately. This is not a new legal issue. Slightly different facts. Last iteration of council dealt with precisely the same legal issue. And what occurred at the last iteration of council was something that, frankly, could have been easily avoided. There was an appointment by a lame duck body, right? And the incoming group determined that they should not seat that appointee. At the time we dealt with it, yours truly opined on the matter and said that, the appointment was perfectly, it may have been whatever else, but it was an appropriate legal appointment. And people don't always listen to their city attorney or their attorney. People did not listen to the city attorney. And I believe, 2, 3, 4 years later, the same members of the body which ultimately refused to seat the appointee ended up apologizing to the gentleman and paying him a bunch of money for his legal fees. We don't want to go down those, down those avenues. Slightly different facts, Same legal issue.
Any other comments? Going once, going twice. Our choices here are to have a roll call vote.
There was a motion.
Right.
There was a motion.
She has a motion, yeah, to get the outside opinion. So if that motion's going to stand, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
No.
Councilmember Tinlin,
No.
Mayor Moffett,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
No.
Councilmember Peltonen,
No.
All right, the motion has failed. Moving on with our agenda, item 9B is consideration of the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 795, zoning ordinance amendment to amend Chapter 34, Article 10, Section 7.15, align the Zoning Board of Appeals procedure with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 795 zoning ordinance amendment to amend Charter 34, Article 10, Section 71.5 to align to the Zoning Board of Appeal procedures with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, PA 110OF 2006, be approved.
Second.
All right. Nick or Mr. Riker, who's taking this one?
I can take care of that. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Getting used to this new setup again from the last meeting. So during the last meeting on November 18th, 2025, there was an error discovered in the second reading of the ordinance that was deemed substantive enough to go back and execute the second reading, so that error has been corrected. So again, this ordinance amendment is for the to align the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act and zoning ordinance to have the same number of votes to approve a motion by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So currently, the zoning ordinance requires 4 members of the body when the Zoning Enabling Act says a majority. So we are requesting an amendment to our ordinance so it says majority and not 4 members.
And I believe this was Councilmember Slawinski's eagle eye that identified the issue. That is just simply correcting that one statement. Is there anything else detected or questions or concerns about this?
I do have just one thing.
Go for it.
The summary that we normally get on the agenda has nothing to do with the actual amendment. Just wanted to confirm that.
I don't understand the question.
I'd give you a page number. On our agenda item 9B, where it's the second paragraph summary and rationale for request, that has nothing to do with the actual amendment, correct?
It's not the wording of the amendment. The reworded amendment is part of the packet. This is just the background without having to read the ordinance. It's like, hey, this is why we're talking about this.
Perfect, okay. So the amendment I see is correct, okay.
Okay, yes, so
Thank
that
you.
was in the packet, just to review, and you didn't see anything new in that.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
All right, that's everyone. We have approved, now wasn't this the first reading because it had to come back again, or was the other one the first reading and this is the second? This is the second. Okay.
Because you caught it, obviously council caught the mistake.
That was the
addressed it
first,
right,
that's why, because 1 and 2 is how math works, right? Okay, so we have approved the second reading of the ordinance to make it comply with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Excellent. Moving on to item 9C. This is consideration of discussion of the board and commission appointments from the November 13th, 2025 special council meeting.
I move we discuss boards and commission appointments from the November 13th, 2025 special meeting.
Second.
So this was put on the agenda at the request of Council Member Peltonen. She started the conversation, and it was in regard to the appointments that occurred on the November 13th, 2025 special council meeting. The city clerk included an entire agenda of those appointments and which ones were not expired and which ones were. Interesting information here that at that meeting, 7 appointments were made. 1 there was no action on. 2 were appointments with expired terms, 4 with unexpired terms, and 1 with resignation because caused the vacancy. And then there's also a note that 10 appointments to unexpired terms dating back as far as 2014. But Michelle, none of those took place as part of a lame duck appointment, correct? These 10 appointments to unexpired terms, none of those were by a lame duck.
That was just a review of past practice.
Perfect. All right. So, Councilmember Peltonen, this is your baby?
Well, I mean, I don't even want to think of it like that because it's not like a big deal. It's just kind of, when they had that special meeting, I was very surprised because I've been doing a lot of homework and watching and listening to a lot of past meetings or for boards and commissions and everything, and there had been nobody appointed. And so it was a little surprising to me, I guess, that all of a sudden people were being appointed before the term expired, and it just so happened to be, I mean, a lot. Well, actually, also, I was a little confused. I wanted to ask if it's common practice for newly appointed council members to be contacted saying, submit your resignation to us now. A lot of what happened, I just wanted clarification. It all went really fast, and yeah, I was really wondering what happened there because it didn't seem to, they didn't do that in the past.
So Mr. Nushai, of the appointments that were made, I think the thing that most of us struggle most with are the 4 unexpired terms that they were appointed. Is there any recourse this new council can take on those appointments?
Yes, well, in my opinion, appointments to unexpired terms are not a thing, so obviously, they may have happened before on council, by this council, where the issue may have been, without, has not been scrutinized, and basically it was an appointment for the same person to continue on their same seat. Nonetheless, it does not make it appropriate. New council, we have several rules, obviously, in our charter code of ordinances. One of them says that you serve on the committee that you're appointed to until your replacement is appointed. Therefore, that in combination with the fact that you cannot appoint someone to an unexpired term to a seat because there's no seat vacancy for you to appoint to, in my humble opinion, that is, that decision is void ab initio. However, that being stated, it is probably appropriate then for council, if it seeks to make a determination, to make a motion to vacate same and just move forward in that action. And then when the vacancy occurs for those positions, then take up the matter.
Okay, that actually explained a lot because, yeah, it's not saying that we don't want people that were reappointed. I want to just have the chance for us to do it the right way, yeah.
Do you want to make a motion to that end?
So the motion would be to...
I'll make the motion, I'll make it, and then you can second. I move that the 4 appointments to unexpired terms be rescinded. Is that the right word?
Vacated and nullified.
What was the other word you said?
Vacated and nullified?
Vacated and nullified, effective immediately. Is there?
Oh, second.
Second. Any other discussion on that?
So how many of these positions would be impacted? I know we had the grid, the ones that were really not ending term yet. I'm assuming that's the planning commission seat, for example? So there's 1 or all of them?
I'll defer to the city clerk.
4.
4 altogether?
So if I could clarify, there was 4 unexpired terms that were filled, 2 were vacant. So of the 2 vacancies, they were unexpired. That's the terminology. So they were appointed to an unexpired term, but it was a vacant seat.
So
So I'm just clarifying that there was two that were not expired yet, that were processed on the 13th, and that was the two that would expire on 12/31 of this month.
So if they were unexpired terms,
There's no vacancy.
there's no vacancy.
No, there is vacancies on the ones that were resigned. So the two vacancies were from a resignation. So the
Right.
seat was vacant. It was an unexpired term for that position.
So for that position, Madam Mayor, the appointment then goes to the end of that term. because-
Correct. Yeah, so the four unexpired terms, I have that it's, I have that it would be, well, why don't you tell me? Because now you have me confused, because
It's just two of them. There's a ZBA and a planning commission. The
Are there
other ones
only
were-
two unexpired? There's not
So
four?
for
There's two.
clarification, Nate Hara expired on 12/31 of this month.
Okay.
It would be the expiration of his term.
So
And
his-
also, so that's one.
That's one. So his extension beyond 12/31 is null and void.
If you follow down
Yes.
the
Okay, if
motion.
this.
And the
goes through.
second one was Jennifer Perkins on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Hers also expired 12/31 of this year, of this month.
And that extension is null and void.
If
If we vote, and it's just those two.
The other two were already vacant spots that were filled. So the word unexpired is in there because they're filling a term that hasn't ended, but they were vacant. They needed to have someone placed in them, so they were not.
But they should only continue until the end of that term. They shouldn't continue beyond
That's
that.
correct.
So, for example, the Vince McBride's, he was appointed to an unexpired term that ended 12/13 of 2025, is what you have written here.
It expires, that seat expires on 12/31 of 2025. It also expires at the end of this year.
Okay,
But
so.
it was a vacant seat because.
But the expiration of the end of this year stands, and it doesn't go
That would be
on,
up for reappointment at the end of that term.
so it doesn't go on to 2028 like it's written here.
That's correct.
Okay, and so that's how we got to the four. All right.
There was four because of the term unexpired.
So they can fill the vacancy, but their term cannot be extended beyond the length of said vacancy is what we're saying.
That's right.
Okay,
They
perfect.
only fill it to whatever the term was for the vacant seat.
Perfect. All right. Any questions? Roll call, please.
So we're,
With the four, right, so.
you're pulling back the four or you're pulling
I
back
have
the
a
two?
question. Sorry,
I thought-
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Mayor. Can you please tell me the four names and the expiration?
We have Nate Hara, you said, and Jennifer Perkins. So their terms expire at the end of their original appointment. And they're not reappointed if this passes. And then Vince McBride's ends at the end of this month, as you just said, right?
That's correct. Well, I think he got appointed, he may have gotten appointed to 28 because it was a vacant seat. Again, another vacant seat.
You have here that he was Vince McBride appointed to unexpired term that ends,
No,
it was on 12/13.
He was
Got
appointed
you.
on the 13th, so it went to the
Got you.
28th. That was a vacant seat as well. But it
Okay.
was a term that was up, so
Okay.
it wasn't unexpired. He was filling a seat of someone that passed away.
And so then Aaron Hales was appointed to then Mr. Tinlin's, which expired, his term, it was to expire in 26?
26 or 27.
26.
Okay, and so then the other one that was marked on here was,
Joe Marucci to the DDA, but his term was expired,
right,
so it was,
and then Linda Hale's term expires on 12/31 of 26.
that's correct, and that was a vacant
Okay,
seat as well.
so it is just the two then, Nate Hara and Jennifer Perkins?
That's what I'm trying to explain, that those are the
Okay.
two that were not expired yet.
All right, so just those two. I'm fine with that. Go ahead.
This is to discussion, like just to make a statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, because I just wanted to make sure everyone knows this is not saying that they are not getting reappointed. It's just not an automatic.
Right. It's just pulling
From
back
what
the
they-
inappropriate, unprecedented extension beyond the unexpired term is all it is doing. All right. All right. That was confusing enough?
Sorry.
Any other questions? All right. Now, roll call, please.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion to pull back those two unexpired appointments has passed. All right, moving on to item 9D, which is consideration of discussion regarding the city attorney's review of city council 2020 rules and procedures. Motion for discussion?
Madam Mayor, I move to have a discussion on the city attorney's review of the city council's 2020 rules and procedures.
Second.
Second. Okay, so this was put on the agenda primarily at my request. And Mr. Nusha, I don't know the best way to approach this. Like, I have a bunch of stuff marked up here. I
And
mean,
that-
because,
And that is the best way, and that's why we had it here, and I didn't take a stab at it without having this conversation. We spoke with the city manager, obviously, ahead of time. We would love to hear your comments on everything. Some items in the document obviously are dated now and no longer apply.
Right.
Our charter has changed, and obviously, that has affected a couple of small portions, but one of the big areas, is remote participation, obviously. That is not a thing, unfortunately, anymore with the orders being rescinded from the governor's office. So the document needs some revamping. It's in many ways, it's an outline that reflects our charter and code of ordinances, but certainly our previous charter and code of ordinances.
so, why don't we go through and have a couple discussions, and then maybe we give you all our stuff, and then you can like flesh out a draft. But, so a couple of things that are really important is, to me, aside from just like, obviously, the city doesn't like issue electronics like they used to and that kind of stuff, so that stuff needs to change. And then, so I would say the two most important things to me were the discussion of specific committees, and a couple of the, number one, we can have 3 members now instead of 2 because we're expanded. But I think that I would want to codify the obligation for minutes to be taken. And it doesn't necessarily have to be by the clerk, but just that some form of minutes are taken in any of those meetings. And then I like that it refers, following the OMA, so making sure it's open to public, that, it's conducted so that everyone can feel like they can, hear what's going on, and those types of things are very important and should be codified in here. But the other portion of this that is really important is the meeting procedure, and so that's under item 2, order of business. And one of the topic that lends itself to this discussion is the something that there's been a lot of consternation over, and that is the words of inspiration. And for discussion, what I would like to see changed in this document for that particular part of the meeting is I'd like to suggest that the council comes up with a standard statement that the council gives at the beginning of each meeting for the words of inspiration. And then I also had the idea, probably after the holidays, but I thought it would be really cool if, with Councilmember Rinkovic's association with the school and City Manager Raker's association with the school, if we could have a contest to have students from the school, like someone to come up with whatever this pledge or this statement that is made at the beginning of each meeting, something that, touches on the community and all that kind of stuff. That would be something I'd like to see changed in this procedures. And the rest of the stuff, I think, is really probably stuff that you've already looked at, just sort of clear, that would be inherently fixed, just cleaning it up and putting it in line with the new charter. I could give you this marked up with but those are the big things that I thought would be worth talking about. Does anyone else have any other things that they thought were really important?
I have a couple.
Go for it.
Okay. In regards to the words of inspiration, I like the words of inspiration, but talking to a lot of different residents over my campaign, they thought that possibly we could maybe hold it to like 2 minutes. There was a lot of longevity with some of the people coming up who were praying, and it was deemed like unnecessary for a meeting. I'm Catholic, so I love prayer, so it's not personal. But because we're meeting and we're coming in, we're all together, that's my thought. Also, one of the residents said maybe we can also do a moment of silence, and anybody else can pray, they can just say inspiration for themselves, or they can do whatever they want with a moment of silence. So that is another idea, and that's all I wanted to talk about that.
Go ahead, Councilman.
So 2 things. I also like the quiet moment of reflection is how I labeled it, but same thing, moment of silence. I think that gives everyone an inclusive opportunity, no matter your religious or spiritual background, to use that time however you see fit. To your point also, Madam Mayor, about the schools, I've seen it in other municipalities where at times they have, I think in Rochester Hills, they bring in like their student government or council, and they do a little something, once a month or every few meetings or something. So maybe we can talk to the superintendent or school board and see what we can do there. I think that would be nice, so.
Anyone else? So, Mr. Newshine.
Yes, ma'am.
Perhaps the way forward would be to sort of flesh it out and maybe leave that item like in italics or something like that for further discussion, but just to get us closer to the next step of the document, and then we could talk about it at a future meeting and just keep at it until we get to something that everyone's comfortable with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, so no other action needed on that item, I believe. All right. The next item is, 9E, and this is consideration of the discussion of ordinance number 792, and an ordinance to amend the Clausen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Article 2, City Council, Division 1, General Section 2.39, establishing a procedure to fill vacancies in the City Council nomination, referral, process, appointment, and consideration of previous election. I can get a motion so we can discuss.
Motion to discuss consideration of discussion of ordinance 792.
And a second.
Support.
Okay. So this was, again, put on the agenda at my request. And the biggest concern I had about this that I felt needed to be addressed sooner than later, is section 1A, and that's the vacancy of the officer, mayor, or council member. The council shall follow the procedure. My concern is that the vacancy of mayor should automatically be filled by the mayor pro tem, and then that resulting council seat should be filled with the process that goes forward. So that's the only, I think, very important change that needs to be made to this ordinance. And that provides stability for the council and the continuity of practices. It's just the standard of the way things work. If something happens to the mayor pro tem fills that seat, and then that person's council seat would follow this. Any other thoughts?
May I just utter for consideration, for your consideration for the conversation that's about to ensue? Obviously, that references section 4.29 of the charter. And that section, Madam Mayor, states that a vacancy in the office of mayor or city council member shall, within 30 days after such a vacancy occurs, be filled by appointment by a majority vote of the remaining members of the city council. Now, you can offer more, right, but it has to follow that line.
Right, so that if the mayor, something happens to the mayor, George Clooney comes and takes her away to Hawaii to marry her, she leaves the city, then the mayor pro tem, it should codify that the mayor pro tem automatically becomes the mayor, in my opinion. That's what we're discussing here.
And I guess my 2 cents would tell me, in reviewing this, that it needs to be a sentence that follows this, because it states, you're simply, you would have to state it at the end of some such sentence, such as the charter, because we will not be able to amend the charter by way of ordinance. You can only add to it, which means that it will be a vote. You're simply, basically by ordinance, stating that the vote will be for the mayor pro tem.
I see what you're saying. Okay, so that's fine if that makes it.
Yeah, that's how it would have to be stated.
Right, by positive vote of the council, the position of mayor will be filled by the mayor pro tem. If that's the way it needs to be written.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, if
Yep.
you're. if
Just
that's
to
your
clarify, because, I think it's important that there be that continuity.
Sure, and if that's your consideration, that's how we would have to have it stated, so that, because, again, we wouldn't be able to change the charter.
Works for me. Any other discussion, questions, comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Wait, what are we voting on?
We're voting on making that amendment to this ordinance that he just talked about.
No, you have, currently, you just have a motion for discussion on the floor, which you've discussed.
Okay, all right.
Now, you can,
We could simply just bring it back. I think the city attorney and I understand what the intent is. We can bring it back for a first reading.
I'd love that.
That's the only, because we would have to prepare it as an ordinance that, that states, exactly that. We'll fit it within the proper portion in our code of ordinances, tied back to section 4.29, make that statement. It sounds like this is sort of the general consensus of council, so we would be bringing it.
So no vote, no
You
roll
won't
call
need to
necessary.
approve, yeah.
Moving on. Okay. That brings us to item 9E, consideration of discussion, am I in the right place? Nope, 9D, sorry, thank you. Consideration, I lost 9F, there it is. Oh, okay. There we go. So that is, because F goes after D, right? All right, consideration of discussion of the applications for the vacant city council seat. If I could get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to discuss application for the vacant city council seat.
Second.
All right, and so, as we all know, that during the organizational meeting on November 17th, there was a discussion. We all voted to accept applications to fill the seat. We got 4 applications to fill the seat. And we need to decide where we're going to go from there. I open the floor. Who wants to go first? Councilmember O'Rourke?
I can take it. Yeah, so.
Or Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
Thank you. Seeing that all 4 of the names here are people that ran, I don't know how much whittling we really need to do. All their information's been out there for months on end here. So I don't think for me at least, I don't need to do interviews. I have what I need. I've talked to most of them. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm starting my discussion at least.
Fair. Who else has a comment?
I guess in the original intent of the application process, were those interviews going to be in public too, so the people can hear the responses back too?
So we had talked about having a special meeting on December 8th for the purposes of holding interviews for filling the council seat. I'm going to withhold my comments so everyone else gets to speak, so go.
Just for transparency, because, we had a lot of people talking about their viewpoint of how we should appoint, what should be those factors of our decision. So I would like to hear the candidates actually answer questions in interview format to address some of those concerns, right? So.
I said I wouldn't, but now I'm going to. I would kind of concur with you because campaigning is a whole different ballgame than for this. And so I would concur with you that having the interviews was a part of the established process that we said we were going to do. And the public might want to hear those thoughts. Councilmember Slowinski.
I agree. I think I would be fine if we made a motion and went ahead with the interviews.
Okay. Any other comments? So to that end, then we would need a motion of who we want to interview. Do we want to just interview all four, or do we want to interview a subset? Does someone have an idea of a motion they'd like to make?
We're still in discussion?
Yes.
Since we only have four, I was hoping we were going to have more, right? But we have four. So if we did a special meeting, we could give them 15 minutes to half hour to have the discussion. I didn't see the last time we had the interview process. I'm not sure how long it took.
So a motion would be appropriate to determine how many we want to interview, right?
I think so, yes, ma'am.
Yes. So are you, Councilmember Tinlin, making a motion that we
I could
interview
take a
all
wing
four?
at it if you like.
No, tell me what's, go ahead.
Do we also have in that motion set a time for the special meeting as well?
We already established that.
That was going to be this coming Monday, right?
Correct.
Whatever date that is.
The 8th.
8th. I can try. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to, on December 8th, 2025, to have an interviewing process of the four candidates or applicants for the vacant seat. That would be Glenn Shepard, Alec Shexpa, sorry for the name, Scott Manning, and William Renshaw.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay. So, and as part of that discussion, I think that, a member from the audience reminded us that we do have an obligation to discuss the results of the previous election and how it impacts our way forward. I personally would concur with the statements that she made, that my taking the previous election into consideration, me personally, is that the community did request change. The community did vote out all the incumbents, and so that's the voice of the community that the results of the consensus from the election that I'm taking into consideration personally, and that I think that, as I was saying to Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke, that because this process is somewhat different than everybody's campaigning, I think I have some different questions for the candidates. I think that giving them all the opportunity to interview is ticks all the boxes that we're required to tick for this ordinance. Any other thoughts?
I guess I'm a little bit on the other spectrum where, and thank you for everyone that had a lot of input to us, so too. Mandate is a word been used quite a bit, but again, I've been looking at it a lot. Really, I think the November 4th election is the most democratic and relevant expression of the voter will. We can't disenfranchise 1,100 plus voters for the next runner-up, right? So, and we don't have, in Michigan current laws, we don't have ranked choices, we don't have cumulative vote, we don't vote transfers. So at the end of the day, the only legal and relevant factor is a certified vote count. That's how we all got here. So that's I'm on the other side of the spectrum on that one.
You're saying they're mutually exclusive.
Yep.
That's basically what you're saying. Cool.
So just food for thought. I want a good discussion, right? So
Acknowledging your thought. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I guess just to share my thoughts on that while you guys are sharing yours.
Yes,
it says look at what the expressed preferences of the voters is, and you're looking at what the expressed preferences of the voters is. So I tend to lean on more the side of the mayor's opinion, but so just sharing my thoughts there.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I guess my thought, so if we're going to interview all four, then that would give more of an opportunity to look at perhaps who were not incumbents, and if we had more questions for those too, so.
Fair point. Yep, thank you. Anyone else? Going once. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Moffett?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Rikovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
All right, so we have just voted to invite all four candidates back for interviews on December 8th. And did we pick 7 o'clock is the time, I believe?
7 p.m.
Yep. All right, so all four candidates, 7 o'clock, December 8th. Excellent.
Yes.
All right. That takes us to unfinished business, of which we have none. And then back to public comment for items not on the agenda. We once again invite members of the public to come up to speak to items not on the agenda. We ask that you keep your comments to 4 minutes. We ask that you say your name and just identify if you're a resident of Clawson or a visitor to this fair city, and give you the opportunity to speak about items not on the agenda.
I got the right piece of paper this time. My name is Jean Grant Nanadovich, and I'm here to say that I think that I heard that we're going to get a new sign for in front of City Hall. And I want to say that I am absolutely thrilled. The 3 years that I chaired the Blair Bazaar, I found out that one of the hardest things for us in the city to do is to get information out to what's happening. And I've been very active in the library. There's so many things going on in the library and at the recreation center that people just don't know about. I mean, Pulse is nice, but it doesn't always come out at the right time. And I just would love to see a sign. I know Joe's done his homework. I'm hoping that it's much nicer than the one that we have now, because that is embarrassing. And bringing up, I heard that it was about $100,000, so I know that sounds like a lot of money. So that brings up my next question. I saw that the Planning Commission okayed this business at 860 Batter, which is going to be a care facility for medical marijuana patients, I think. I've never heard of such a thing, but I do know that last year, all dispensaries, the cities that had those dispensaries got $58,226 per dispensary. So my question is, if it's not a dispensary, which it isn't, what is it? Is it what kind of a license does it have? I didn't bring my readers. Is it a grower class C? Is it a processor? Is it a provisioning center? Is it a safety compliance? Or is it a secure transporter? Because I have never heard of a facility that has a place for just caregivers. I'm not really sure what medical marijuana, what license they got. And what I really want, because I don't care that it's there, but if they're growing there, I got to tell you, speaking from experience, if people didn't like the smell of the barbecue place, they're going to have a real problem with that growing, because I don't know how they're going to grow and have it not smell. I mean, it's going to smell, but it's over there. There's not a lot of houses, so I don't really care that it's there. What I want is the $58,226 per. I mean, if this is it a. Can anybody answer that question? Are we going to get that money from the state? Is it considered a medical marijuana micro business?
So I failed to.
What is their license?
I failed to remind you that this is not a back and forth,
Oh,
but I
that's
will
right.
make a note
Yeah,
and
find out.
ask it.
We want that
yes.
money, $58,226, and the building is, it's, I did liquor licenses before. The city doesn't get kickbacks for liquor licenses. You don't get $58,000 for every business here that can sell liquor. But yeah, $58,000 is a lot of money. If we had two, that would be $116,000. So think about that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else for items not on the agenda?
Well, it's sort of, Cindy Peltonen, I live in Clausen. It's sort of on the agenda, but this part wasn't. So I just wondered if you've defined a process for how the interviews will go. Will you each come up with your own question? Will there be a standard set? Will you rotate? I just want to bring to your attention that the public might want to know what your process will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments for items not on the agenda?
Karen Waddy, I live in Clausen. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I've had a long day at work today. And I work with kids, elementary ones at it. First of all, I have a couple of opinions. One's not going to be very popular, but one really, I would like to thank Scott Tilson. And I appreciate the fact that everybody works and busy and can't all come out to stuff. Scott Tilson was very sweet. He's the only council person that came out to the senior center for our Thanksgiving lunch, and he served well, and he took the time to answer whatever questions I had to ask him.
Nice.
Stuff that I didn't even know, he explained to me. So I really appreciate that you did that. That was great. Thank you for doing that. The other one is, I know people aren't going to like this. I've only been in Clausen 4 years. I've had grandchildren that go to they don't go there now, but they went to the Clausen schools. Do we really want any kind of drug, marijuana, medical or otherwise, in this city? There's a lot of drugs in that school, whether people want to believe it or not. I know firsthand because I know people that have bought drugs in that high school. So I'm not trying to put a bad light on Clausen or anything. I'm just saying, do we really need that in this city? Would you really want drugs in this city, legal or otherwise? I know I don't want them. Why should we make that available to people? So I know it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but that's just my personal opinion on it.
Thank you.
I can't keep getting up and down.
That's okay.
Karen Knutson on North Bywood. The care clubs, I can explain it. It's a club for caregivers of marijuana patients. So what the care club does is they have different brands or different strains of marijuana, and the caregivers only can go in there and purchase. And the caregivers then give the medicine to their patients. This is all people that have their license, their medical license, because medical marijuana is a little different than what you're seeing at dispensaries. So the only people that would be going into this care clinic are caregivers, not patients. That's the difference. There's a place up in Flint it's called a Compassion Club. It's huge, and they do the same thing on the weekends. It's 2 days, and it's all just, you have to have a license, and it's all caregivers, and they're swapping out strains and talking about effects and what it can do and what it, as far as smells or anything, it's legal, and people have to educate their families to what they want to believe, and it's legal. You can't, so why shouldn't we get the money? I don't know how much a care club will generate versus a regular dispensary. That I can't tell you because, you're dealing with the whole population versus just X amount of people that can be in that club. So it's a little more complicated than I don't want it. It's, people have to have a place to go. Caregivers have to have a place that they can go to get their stuff. So that's what it is. It's not open to anybody. Well, first of all, you have to be 21. You have to show your license in every dispensary. Before you even are allowed in the doors, you have to have a driver's license that says you're 21 every time you go in, even though they keep your info on file. So, there's a lot of people that don't understand the business, and that's wrong. It's legal. It's, it's a good way to make money. And I don't see why it shouldn't be allowed. It's based on people's feelings or, I don't want this, but well, educate your kids. Tell them you don't want them to smoke pot, There's people grow up around it, people haven't. People take it or leave it. But don't tell other people you can't have it or I don't want it because, I wouldn't mind the city getting the money, but I don't want it because of the smell or I don't want it because of the people that are coming in there. No. It's just everyday, regular people that are in pain. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm not talking about marijuana. Anyway, my name is Diane, and I am a resident of Clawson. I have a dog. I've had dogs all my life, and I love training them and walking them. I have to go to another city to go in their park because I cannot walk on wood chips because of my condition. And I was wondering, is there any plans on a blacktopping our little park? I would love to walk my dog and train my dog and in my own city. And that's what I just.
Thank you.
Yes.
Here I go again. Linda Hale, 940 West Selfridge. I have a question I know you can't answer, but put it in your mind and maybe somebody can answer me later. You were talking about rescinding the positions that were appointed, and I understand you want to make your own, but I'm wondering if that means that the Planning Commission is going to be short now because they have the expirations. And if those people wanted to continue in their position, which I know that there's some really good people on planning, that they should be able to, just continue. Or does rescind mean that you're going to say, no, they can't, and you're going to put somebody else in? That's all I'm wondering, because if somebody is volunteering for these positions and they've done a good job and there's no reason for them to not be on that commission, then I'm wondering why they would be taken off of that commission. So that's my question. Think about it. I think that they should stay on if they want to. That's just my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Good evening, Council. Sean Nassery. There we go, still with the same old microphone. I just want to apologize to all of you up here. The last council, before you even took a step on the dais, painted you guys like monsters, and you guys are all incredible, and I just wanted to thank you all for your services. I sent an email, an hour before this meeting, and almost all of you got back to me. It's just incredible to have that. So thank you. You guys are wonderful. Please don't listen to them. There is no bias here. There's no agenda. I know a lot of people here saying you guys want to fire the city manager. Joe, I haven't heard any of them say that, and I know almost all of them personally. There is no agenda, other than people here trying to spread something. But marijuana talked about. Don't do it myself. It's awesome for a lot of people. Healing aid. The city also at the skate park did the same thing, saying, hey, it's going to bring a lot of riffraff in here. There's so many families. There's 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, up to grandpas using the skate park. But it's they use this agenda, they're going to bring the riffraff, they're going to bring drugs, they're going to bring graffiti. That thing wasn't graffitied until, about a year ago, and it had nothing to do with any skateboarder. It was a girlfriend who got mad at her boyfriend and spray painted that. So no, the skate park did not bring any riffraff, nor will any marijuana facility either. I know a lot of God-fearing people that do it, but also speak out against it. It just helps them. But and then as for words of inspiration, I'm thinking maybe even have the Boy Scouts come and say their words. So just something to think about. But sorry, I'm still freezing up here and shivering. But again, thank you guys for all you do. Thank you for not being the monsters you were portrayed, and you're doing awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once. Closing. Closing public comment. All right. The city clerk's report.
The only thing I have to report tonight, I was going to talk about the boards and commissions a little bit further because we have some expirations coming up. And I think that as soon as I get applications, I send them out. We do have some vacancies in, currently still have 2 vacancies in the Compensation Commission. And we still have a vacancy, 2 vacancies in the Zoning Board of Appeals for the alternate position. That was as of tonight's meeting. So the 2 that are seated that were pulled from the renewal, they'll stay seated until a new appointment's done. So those are not vacant, but we have several that are coming up in the next 6 months, 6 to 7 months. We have several coming up, and I just want to put a plug out there for those that are interested in being involved in a boards and commission. There's several vacancies available or coming up for renewal. So, and that, I'm assuming that, some may not want to renew. And so we're not to that point yet because we're still out like 6 months for most of those. But just keep it in mind, we have applications on the website. I have them in my office. We'll be happy to get you an application to serve.
Could you talk about what the Compensation Commission does?
Compensation Commission is who sets your salary.
And they meet like once a year or something?
Once every odd year they're supposed to meet. The thing is they usually meet in an election year.
Okay.
At some point, we haven't had a quorum, so we can't have a meeting. So we do have a quorum at this time with 3, which means they would all have to be in agreement to get anything passed. But we still have 2 vacant seats there. I was holding off on trying to, up until the 13th meeting, November 13th, we didn't have a quorum. So there was no meeting going to be had. So at this point right now, we still need 2 more people for that Compensation Commission. They only meet once every 2 years. That's by charter, by design, to set the salary and the pay of the council and how that looks.
So if you were to say, what is the easiest commission to be on? That would win the prize.
So I am trying to plan one, since we do have 3, I'm going to try to arrange for a meeting before the end of the year. The plan was to try to get a meeting of the 3 that we have and try to get a determination moving forward. If that doesn't happen, I'll have to wait till we get, some more, people maybe appointed, or we'll try after the new year. I mean, we're kind of bound to have it in the odd year. However, it's been kind of a unique situation to not have a quorum. Ms. Burns, she served on that board for a very long time, and she was not off the board, so we had a quorum, but we could not call a meeting during that time because of the illness. So, we were kind of in a unique situation. But we'll have a meeting. I'm going to try to schedule one for hopefully within the next week or so, and we'll meet and we'll discuss and see that usually that decision of the Compensation Commission comes back to this board. Usually it's receive and file because they've made a determination. But that's you'll accept that recommendation from the Compensation Commission.
So if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity that's not going to take much of your time, once every 2 years, that might be the committee for you. Consider it. All right, thank you very much. City Attorney's report.
Nothing additional, Madam.
So I have a question. The city has not passed a marijuana ordinance.
Correct.
So there's no opportunity for us to earn any money from marijuana at this time.
What's the business at 860 Banner?
That's my next question. So the 860 Batter Care Facility is somehow exempt from us requiring to have an ordinance to allow it to operate?
Correct, the state law. Nick can probably speak more about that.
If I may, so the.
That's why he sits next to you.
Not an attorney. So the primary caregiver facility is very different than like the common commercial cannabis dispensary. So primary caregivers can grow up to 72 plants, and they have specific individuals who are, I don't know the exact terms, but assigned or that they purchased their cannabis from. And so that's this facility. So it's completely different than the common discussion of cannabis nowadays that you see a lot of municipalities doing. Now we're required for the state of Michigan to have a zoning district where this is a permitted use, and this property on 860 Batter is in our I-1 industrial district, so that's where it was determined to have that permitted.
So can you repeat that? We're required to have a district that allows for that by state law?
Correct. So, and just a relevant topic is when we have the conversation on short-term rentals, it's kind of similar in like, if we didn't have an ordinance, it's open for everywhere. And so our ordinance limits it to that one district, just like it would be a retail where there's certain districts that it's permitted there.
Cool. Thank you. All right. So you have nothing else, and I have nothing else for you. The city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As previously discussed, all 4 applicants for consideration for the vacant seat for City Council are invited to the special council meeting on Monday, December 8th at 7 p.m. for an interview with council. Selection by vote of council will occur at the December 16th regular City Council meeting. Leaf pickup ends this week, Thursday, December 4th. Please keep in mind, yard waste pickup continues until Wednesday, December 17th. So after this Thursday, please containerize, bag your leaves. Reminder, tomorrow evening at 6:30 at the gazebo will be the tree lighting ceremony, complete with Santa's arrival, followed by refreshments here at City Hall in the community room, sponsored by the Clawson Chamber of Commerce. Pending any questions, that's my brief.
So I have a question for you, and you might not know the answer, but I'm going to ask you. Do you know, is there any discussion, thoughts, ideas floating around about the wood chip issue at the park?
Sure. So what's happening right now is the Parks and Rec senior department, we're doing a master plan study for City Park, and so that is something that I'm sure will be considered in that, along with a feasibility study for a senior center. So whether it's Hunter at that location or at some other location in the city, those two studies are going on simultaneously, and there will be a public outreach component to that you'll see after the holidays.
Cool. So it's on the agenda. Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Having nothing else, let's do city council comments. Let's start with Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Nothing for me tonight.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go backwards. Council Member Peltonen.
Okay. So I just wanted to read a suggestion that we got from one of our community members, Amy Frink. I'll just read it because I like how she worded it. But she said, young people are frequently looking for community service projects. Sometimes it's for scouting badges, other times related to school. They have to come up with an idea and track down the right people. Sometimes it's hard to know if something is already needed. Way off in Clarkston, there's basically a wish list they have. I can think of 2 Clawson kids that have put their name and effort, or put their time and effort into helping out there. So could we do a wish list right here? Each department should know about it so they can add their needs, and we can get the kids working together, something like the clock up and running that they did before. But what I immediately thought about was if anybody listened to the podcasts with Brad Irwin, I just put the 2 together because he kept saying that they were thinking about oh, wouldn't it be so cool if the park had lights during the winter time? And so I just wanted to throw that out there for the community. Really that Amy wanted to get suggestions, but also I just want to keep saying that until maybe we do drive by and see some lights in the park. And then my other thing was that I really appreciate Michelle Cuckoo, or Kukuk, depending on who you ask, but she was able to get me into the training that is on Thursday in Lansing because I actually have my final exam project on Friday, so I will be there on Thursday printing stuff for school. So I think Heather's going to go too, so I really appreciate Michelle for making that happen so quickly.
Thanks. Councilmember Rinkovic.
Well, I know it's a late night, so I'll try to keep this quick, but I just want to thank everyone for their patience as we work through a lot of important topics right now, like contract amendments, the upcoming appointment process. I know these are significant decisions and they shape our city's long-term financial health and public trust in our governance. I remain committed to asking these necessary questions and seeking clarity, and ensuring that the decisions that are made are grounded in transparency, fairness, and thoughtful oversight. I believe our residents expect and deserve that level of diligence. And I know that this council will continue to approach the appointment process with integrity, an open mind, and a strong sense of responsibility to the community. We have a lot of important work ahead, and I look forward to doing that work together as a full 7-member council. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Slawinski.
I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming. I kind of agree with Heather in just hanging out with us and helping us through this. We've received so many emails over the last week about different things, and I'm glad that Sean came up and kind of gave us a little pat on the back, because there were many times where I've heard on my campaign that they weren't answered, just like, did you receive my email? And I know that we all really work hard on that. So I'd also like to say, if you notice tonight, we didn't all agree on everything. And I'm really proud to say that I'm sitting up here because that is one thing that I wanted to make sure that we were going to be doing when we're up on this council. We did it with the Charter Commission with 9 people, and I think we did a really good job. That's not a pat on my back, but for all the people who worked on the Charter Commission when we did the update, we worked together. I was really hoping that we were able to do the same thing, and so far, I'm impressed. And I just wanted to say I do look forward to filling the 7th seat and continuing to work with everybody, including the administration, who did a really good job for putting the meeting together. So thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Tinlin.
I'll keep it quick. I'm watching the clock there. So I'm just going to plug the Hunter Community Center for the Christmas lunch and bingo on December 18th. I survived the Thanksgiving lunch the week before the Thanksgiving, so I'll be there as well. So I really appreciate what they do at the Hunter Center. So that's it for me.
All right, then me. So I have a couple things. Number one, we do need a council liaison to the Youth Assistance Council. I think, Mr. Tinlin, you had...
Yeah, I'd expressed interest in that because, you know, I do a lot with the senior center, so I'd like to have the other spectrum with the Youth Alliance as well. So I'm very interested in that.
So I'd like to make a little motion to, do I have to make a motion to get him on the, Mr. Ornishi? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Councilmember Tinlin to be the liaison to the Youth Assistance Council.
Second.
Any discussion? Can we have a quick roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes. So I actually spoke to Penny Lubes earlier. I will just text her your information, and then you two can work it out.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate that. Okay, then I have a couple things. So I remember back in the day with a previous mayor, at her council comments, she always talks about things going on in the city. I'm going to try and weed out everything that's already been mentioned, but I did reach out to the different groups. So the Historical Museum is actually, they're going to be open from 5 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, December 3rd during the tree lighting, we're going to go to. And the first floor is decorated, and they're going to have a craft for the kids, and their Clausen kit home ornaments are going to be for sale. They're $15, made by local artist Sean Arbinger. And the museum's last day open this year is Saturday, December 20th. Last day to see the kit home exhibit, and will reopen on February 2nd with new exhibits. The kit home exhibit will be replaced with a Churches of Clausen, as we have several who celebrate centennial anniversaries next year, and a brand new historical room. And then also, they have the super cool book that you can buy. I think you can buy it at the museum. You can buy it on Barnes & Noble. It makes a great baby shower gift or a Christmas gift for a kid. If you have grandchildren where the parents grew up in Clawson, it's super cool. It talks about stuff they'll remember. So $10, get the book. All right. Then we have the chamber, which has, of course, the tree lighting tomorrow at 6:30. We're all going to be there. Ribbon cutting at the Gregor at 4 p.m. on December 4th. And then on December 11th, they have their chamber holiday party at 6 p.m. at French Toast Bistro. Then we have, and so the DDA didn't have anything in particular coming up, but Kristen did say that Shop Small Saturday on November 29th was a big success, so thank you for everyone who shopped. And then Mr. Riker mentioned the leaf pickup and the yard waste. And then I had one other. I had another thing. Hold on, let me find it real quick.
Goodfellas.
Pardon?
Goodfellas. That's
Oh, the Goodfellows are selling papers on Saturday, so please buy a paper. But I apologize. I have so many papers here. I had another paper with, I apologize. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is Hunter Community Center. So breakfast with Santa on Saturday, December 6th. And then the senior holiday Clawson High School Orchestra concert at Hunter Community at 11:30 a.m. on December 11th. And then the Mobile Secretary of State visit on December 15th from 10 to 3. And then their Christmas lunch is sold out for December 30th. And the rest of the stuff happens in January. And then I did pull, I think that covers everything. So yes, the Goodfellow sale on Saturday, buy a paper or make a donation. And that is all I have. If I could get a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, since there's no discussion.
I'm already cold all the time.
It's so cold.
Wow.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke? Yes. Councilmember Peltman?
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Slawinski?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Moffett?
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone who came out and sat through everything. Hope to see everyone tomorrow night at the tree lighting. Thank you, thank you, thank you.